do what I can. Go ahead.
Okay.
Here you go when you're ready.
Thank you. Oop, I just exited out of one of those and I did not mean to. I exited out of one of the thingies. I don't remember. It was the one after Maria. Between Maria and Tim. I have mine up, so
You good though?
yeah, I'm good. We're dandy. I'm just moving, chugging along. All right, here we go. Welcome into Sports Tonight. I am Bailey Burmaster. Have a great show queued up for you. We finally got to talk to Jalen Johnson after that contract extension. We get to hear the latest from him and how he plans to spend all that money. We also have Atlanta United in a big one tonight, taking on Montreal in the wild card round. Just one game. They're able to win that. They will head to take on Inter Miami in a best of three, the first game in Miami. Then they would come back here Saturday to play at the Bend. And then Georgia Tech, the latest with them after losing to Notre Dame. What's the status of Haynes King? We will get into all of that. But let's start with Jalen Johnson, who's been a huge pivotal part for the Atlanta Hawks. He is someone that they definitely wanted to shore up after he showed a lot of improvement last season. Just consistently improving as a forward for the Hawks. And I mean, he really was a bright note last season. They had so many injuries, including Johnson, but every time he was in, he was making massive dunks. So they definitely shored him up. Contract extension, 5 years, reportedly 150 million, no outs there. So we were able to go to the Hawks headquarters and talk to him and hear the latest about what he plans to do with the money, what it feels like to be in Atlanta long term, and more. So let's listen in.
Everything. Everything.
Get some guys waiting, open up the pocketbook.
I mean, everybody just showing love. Everybody make jokes. It's great seeing guys get paid around here, and yesterday was my turn, and everybody's been supportive of it. Just showing love, making jokes out of it, so it's all been fun.
What's that moment like when you get the call that it's a done deal?
Man, it was crazy. Just how it came about, and then calling my mom, just like, I knew I wasn't gonna cry, but then once I heard her tear up, it was kind of like over with for me. And then you really think back to your journey and where you started from, and every step, every little thing you've encountered and had to go through to get to this point. It was like all those emotions hitting you at once, and it's like this is only the start. So it was a great feeling yesterday, and I'm blessed.
If you could describe this moment to yourself 5 years ago about what it's all going to entail, what would you say to that younger Jalen?
Honestly, I wouldn't even have imagined this. Like, there was a point in time, just in college where like the whole world was against me, and all these narratives, and just me working every day to defeat those narratives and just show people who I really am. And I've done that up until this point, and it's been great just to really see everything come about.
How important was it to you to get this done at the deadline instead of having this to kind of weigh over as you entered the season?
I mean, Atlanta's where I want to be. There's no doubt about that. I feel like we're building something really special here, and I want to be a part of it. So it meant a lot for them to want to get something done with me as well, and I'm excited to be here.
Does it feel like now an extra level of responsibility, though, that you have to go out there and prove that you were worthy of that contract?
I'm just going to play basketball, and I trust my abilities, my skills to go out there and produce at a high level. So it's nothing more, no pressure I'm going to put on myself, no extra weight I'm going to put on my shoulders. Just go out there and be me at the end of the day.
From where you guys started at camp to where we will be tomorrow for game one of 82, the excitement level and the belief in this team is what?
I'm excited. We're going to be a young and fun team, and I'm excited to go out there with 1 through 15 guys plus the coaches and just defy all the narratives and just prove everybody wrong. I'm excited. Training camp it's probably been my most fun training camp, just as far as energy, team spirit-wise. We're all really linked together and locked in. So I'm excited to go out there and, get battle tested tomorrow and, start this long journey.
When Quinn was here a minute ago, he said something like, when he got here, I'm paraphrasing, but when he got here, he saw that there was something in you. Like, I know at the time you weren't playing that much. What was that first part of a season that Quinn was here like for you to kind of get on board and become sort of an NBA regular now?
I mean, it changed my trajectory as far as just my belief in myself. He came in here and he just told me and believed in me in a way, and I would say like a coach that never ever believed in me. Like a lot of guys, a lot of coaches that I've had said it, but for Quinn to go out there and give me minutes at that time, when it was tough, it meant a lot. So like I said, that just made this decision easier as far as Quinn being here and just him trusting me, and it's all been great since.
Jalen, you kind of mentioned it, but just your journey going through injuries, going through the Skyhawks, not getting a lot of playing time. Just how did it prepare you for this moment?
I don't think it really did prepare me for this moment because it was just like, I couldn't have seen this coming when I was in College Park. Like, it was just like a day-by-day thing, and then really it's been every single day just kind of waiting and seeing where I'm at with things. And yesterday I got a life-changing, deal, so it's just been a blessing to go through it this way. I wouldn't have wanted it to happen any other way. I feel like everything happens for a reason. This is just all part of my story.
Let's switch gears to the pitch after that. Atlanta United, man, have they had a roller coaster of a season, to say the least. They get rid of Pineda. They ship off all their star players, whether that's Gigi, Caleb Wiley, and you're looking at a rebuild, essentially. And then as it gets down to the wire, their last game, decision day, they have a 10% chance to make it to the playoffs. A 10% chance, and somehow, some way, they get it done. United is 10-9-7 against Eastern Conference opponents. United ranks 7th in the Eastern Conference with 167 shots on goal. The matchup Tuesday is just the second meeting this season between them and Montreal. Montreal won the last game 1-0. That goal came at the hands of Joseph Martinez. We all know him pretty well. He's scored 11 goals and added 3 assists for Montreal this year. So it's going to be a tough matchup. If they are able to get this win, that means they will go to the first round and they will take on Inter Miami. They would end up playing Saturday at the Benz, so that would be very interesting. It's a big matchup. Can they get it done? Remains to be seen, but Rob Valentino and Brad Guzan were able to talk about it ahead of this one.
I mean, look, I think there's, in life you get moments like this and you have to enjoy them. I think that, I've said this before in the past, is like, I rob myself of these moments at times, and you have to be really present where your feet are, and I know I've said that too, but it's really true. You really enjoy the moment you got, and then when it's gone, then you move on and you process what's happened and take the good with it, and I think that now it's about trying to take it and gain momentum with it. Don't let it go, because it was a great moment. It's been a lot of heartache, I think, throughout the season, and so it was a moment to really enjoy, but realize that the job's not done now and you have to push forward. We live to fight another day, and but we still want more.
I asked you about Montreal after Saturday, and I shouldn't have done that.
Is that an apology?
Y'all haven't had success against Montreal. Haven't had success against Montreal this season. What went wrong in those first 2 games, and what needs to go right on Tuesday?
Yeah, I mean, there were 2 different games. The one away from home, we conceded a lot of pressure, and then at halftime we made some adjustments. We got into the second half and we were much better for about 6 or 7 minutes. The goal came off one of our mistakes, and then all of a sudden red card, and that changed the trajectory of the game. I actually thought we defended really well with 10 players, and then created counter-attacking opportunities, made bad decisions on that part. So I said it last time, staying with 11 players would be great, because that gives us a better chance. and then we can have an actual tactical game and really try to fight that way. And then the game at home, like when I watched it back, my reflection was that it wasn't what I thought it was in the moment. In the first half, I thought it wasn't good enough in terms of intensity and setting the tone and all those things. That might be true, but I think that from a game standpoint, there was nothing really in it. Either side could be quote-unquote boring in some ways because it ended up being 1-1. We got the goal back. So I think it's about capitalizing on the opportunities and minimizing simple mistakes. The second goal that they scored is something that we had talked about how we could prevent it. So making sure we're really solid defensively, disciplined and organized, and then take care of our opportunities when we do get them.
The final 10 minutes of the Orlando game, y'all were under it a great deal. In past games, that's been a situation where y'all have given up a goal, but you didn't against Orlando. How much confidence does that give the guys?
We did. They called it back.
The first half, final 10 minutes of the first half.
Okay.
Yeah. How much confidence do you and the guys take from y'all were able to actually keep the focus and get through that, which is not a situation that you've had a lot of success in this season?
Yeah, I mean, I was still frustrated because I think that at 2-0, it should have been 3-0. We missed opportunities to find decision making in the transition moments that could lead to better chances to potentially put it 3-0. And then I think in the last 10 minutes, we're under it. We have to weather those storms, and even conceding the goal, I think it's really important for their mentality of like we can bend, but we won't break, and then just continue to fight with it. So. I would hope that it gives them confidence that, hey, we were under it, we didn't concede again, and we stuck with the game. And then we'll see. The challenge will be to do it again.
And is that what's necessary to succeed in the playoffs when defense becomes even more paramount? Yeah,
I think every single moment, you look at set pieces, you look at just overall alertness. Those are the differing points in the game. Like you can't fall asleep, you can't switch off for 1 second. Even you look at Montreal's 2 goals they scored, they come from moments of New York City turn their back, free kick goes, all of a sudden a fumble in the box, boom, goal. So I think for me, it's the little details, the little moments of being really alert, and that's something that we have to be hyper-focused on.
Rob, how have you taught that or coached staying focused? Because the mentality of this team has been questioned. Sometimes they fall apart in key moments, and then they'll show flashes as well. Like the Orlando game is like a big picture now. We know that this team can win a tough game. But how have you personally seen the evolution of this team's mentality? What has been your part there?
Yeah, I mean, you can try to recreate things like that in training, whether it's manipulating rules or frustrating them with bad calls in small-sided games and things like that. They think we do it, because we don't see the foul, but sometimes it is on purpose. Sometimes we don't see it. So it's about that's trying to keep them sharp in those moments, and then just continuing to show up that no matter what comes your way, you got to keep being resilient and keep showing up. So I think leading by example in that way, when things go our way or don't go our way, we show up with the same mentality to work.
Can we say that this team has thick skin? Because that's been a part of the scrutiny. The identity of this team is always sort of focused on how you guys attack, but to Doug's point, to advance you've got to defend. Do you think this team has thick enough skin to get through this one-match elimination game?
Yeah, I mean, I look at the performances that they've put in throughout the last 4 or 5 months. I think they have it. Yeah, it's game to game, and sometimes it's not 90 minutes, and that's where the frustration comes at times because you see the glimpses of it, but that has to be consistent. And in the playoffs, it's the key moments, and when you are under it, can you manage those moments and then take care of the chances that you do create?
And then Joseph, he's scoring again. Obviously, he had a really good game against you guys here at home. What changes with him? Is it sort of typical defending of a center forward that with his movements, or is there a different message for your center backs?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be hyper alert of him because he's sneaky. He thinks he's really sneaky when he's behind your back line, and then he moves into attack, and then when moments where you think he's really not defending or just walking around, he is really alert. He's got a goal scoring mentality. So it's the way I was touched on before, is being really alert in every moment, and he is a specific one, especially on set pieces. We give up, for me, a sloppy one there. So it's a moment that things pop in the box and he finds it. So being alert where he's at, and that you got to be aware of the other ones because he's got young kids around him that'll run for him, and I know he probably enjoys that part.
Yeah, before Saturday, y'all had only scored 4 times inside of the first 30 minutes of the season. Why do you think that is, and what do you do to kind of correct that?
Why I think that is, I'm not quite sure on that one, but that's been a big talking point about being able to score first and being on the front foot. You see how it changes the game a little bit. Again, like, can we have that killer mentality to go and get the third, because then maybe it is a whole different game. 2-0 was not the most comfortable, and then they score and it makes it 2-1 away from home is not easy as well. So there's not an easy answer for that, but it's like continuing to talk about those simple moments, and yeah, I think like making sure that, I told them too, it's interesting that we scored 2 that early, because I said if you score 2 in the first 5 minutes, the game is 90 minutes long. So the game doesn't just finish because you scored 2 goals. So it's making sure that you know that each moment matters, especially in the playoffs, and then from that you have to compete 90 minutes.
How would you describe Saba's leadership qualities, or just generally what he brings to the locker room emotionally?
I mean, I'm not sure about him as a leader, and that's not to take away from him. He quietly goes about his business, even though I know he tells you guys it's Saba time. So he's somebody that consistently shows up, and he's working. He's all over the place, so he's consistently working, and that's one thing that awesome, but also drives me crazy. But it's in a good way. I mean it in the best way. But he's a good kid. He works hard. He really cares. I think that sounds really silly, but that high care factor of the group, and I reference like when he was away with the national team when we had the changeover earlier in the season. We were messaging back and forth, and he was like, "I can't wait to come back. Like, we're gonna make something this season." And I look back on those times, and he means it. So you can see it in his effort. And anytime he's been away with the national team, he comes right back in. He's like, "I'm ready to go." So yeah, from that standpoint, that's a lead by example type quality.
To where we are now from that first game, and you look back at the second game, and from an application standpoint, we were one of our worst performances. And so that part wasn't acceptable. So I don't even think you can really analyze the soccer side of it, because the application was so poor, and so ultimately affecting the performance. That being said, going into tomorrow, it's do or die. Everything's on the line, right? And so we can't have a repeat performance and a repeat of application. One, because that's well below our standard, but two, if we do, then we'll be out.
What's the mood? I mean, does it feel like y'all are playing with house money at this point, or what is it like out there?
No, the mood's good. Again, of course, you're excited after Saturday, right? There's a lot of things that we needed to go our way for us to find ourselves in this position, and fortunately they did, right? And we had to handle our business, but we needed help from other scenarios, other teams. It went our way, and yeah, here we are.
Did y'all work on penalties any more than usual today, considering the circumstance?
Well, I think when you look at that, you look at obviously where our guys physically from Saturday. That's a big part of moving on to the next day. You need guys to be prepared and ready to play as long as they can. And so something certainly we have, and we will look at more from now until then.
Do or die match.
I think the word I was using with a couple guys afterwards was resilient. You talk about killer instinct. For me, it was more resiliency in terms of how we defended against a good Orlando team, right? How we defended, especially in the second half, such a low block in our box, all 11 of us. I think at one point Jamal was probably 5 yards outside the box. But that's what it took in that moment, right? And that's not how we want to be playing. That's not. But you have to be able to adapt, and you've got to be able to change, and you've got to find a way. And I think all things considered, that was a glimpse of the resiliency that we have within the group.
What has that process been like for you at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at the group, I'm sure you can pull up an article or two from the beginning and preseason, and the excitement and the quality that we've spoken about that's in the group. But too many times this year, the application in big moments and big games, it's not been there, and you need that, right? And whether it's on the defensive side of the ball or a lot of times it's been on the attacking side in terms of not taking our chances. And I've always said goals change games. We all know that. And so when you get these opportunities, you've got to take them. You look at the Montreal game at home. It's not like they created a ton of chances, but they took their chances, right? And that was ultimately the difference. And so, we know we need to continue to do that. I thought how we started the game in Orlando was really good. Obviously, towards the end of the first half, we wavered a little bit, but then to come back in the second half and hold strong, it was a good reaction.
Why I think that is, I'm not quite sure on that one, but that's been a big talking point about being able to score first and being on the front foot. You see how it changes the game a little bit. Again, like, can we have that killer mentality to go and get the third, because then maybe it is a whole different game. 2-0 was not the most comfortable, and then they score and it makes it 2-1 away from home is not easy as well. So there's not an easy answer for that, but it's like continuing to talk about those simple moments. And I think like making sure that, I told them too, it's interesting that we scored 2 that early, because I said if you score 2 in the first 5 minutes, the game is 90 minutes long. So the game doesn't just finish because you scored 2 goals. So it's making sure that you know that each moment matters, especially in the playoffs, and then from that you have to compete 90 minutes.
How would you describe Saba's leadership qualities, or just generally what he brings to the locker room emotionally?
I mean, I'm not sure about him as a leader, and that's not to take away from him. He quietly goes about his business, even though I know he tells you guys it's Saba time. So he's somebody that consistently shows up, and he's working. He's all over the place, so he's consistently working, and that's one thing that awesome, but also drives me crazy. But it's in a good way. I mean it in the best way. But he's a good kid. He works hard. He really cares. I think that sounds really silly, but that high care factor of the group, and I reference like when he was away with the national team when we had the changeover earlier in the season. We were messaging back and forth, and he was like, I can't wait to come back. Like, we're going to make something this season. And I look back on those.
Cut Rob Valentino a little short. We do want to get to Georgia Tech. Brent Key talking about a lot as they get ready to head to Virginia Tech to face the Hokies. And Key also giving an update on Hanks King. So stick around to the end of this because you'll want to hear it.
As we get going here, coming off the field, just revisiting last week. I came up here last week and talked to the press about, it was after UNC last week. Yes, after the UNC game, I said that there was a lot of things that occurred in that game that we've got to be realist and understand, and really there wasn't a lot of difference in that game and the Louisville game, except for the outcome of it. And we have to be honest with ourselves and do it. And then after going back and watching the film Notre Dame game, tape showed what I thought it would show. And you always want to confirm it, but it showed that, and really it was a culmination of what I'd said the week before, right? And there's things that we addressed and we had to clean up. We didn't accomplish that and get them properly cleaned up. He goes, look, it doesn't matter how you practice, how hard you practice, how good you practice, how hard you play. At the end of the day, what matters is winning a football game on Saturday. And so it doesn't matter that things are addressed and things are practiced and prepared or worked and corrected. They're only corrected when you go to the next game and they're truly corrected and they don't occur again. Okay? That is what occurred last week, or I should say occurred and didn't occur last week. And that's on me. That starts with me. That begins and ends with me. So, you look at the tape, for most players on the team, there's not an effort issue. There's not a playing hard issue. There's not a competing the whole game issue. It's not that. So you start to identify, well, what is the issue? What is it? And it really comes back to the detail within the game and the execution within the game. All right. But there's a level of confidence you have to have going into a game too, that, whether you call it a belief to win or an expectation to win, right? That's got to come every week, right? And it's got to come from the team, the coaching staff, right? And it goes team, coaching staff, and then into myself. And, right, we've got to put guys in positions to be able to have that confidence going into the game and to create an expectation, right? Because you're not going to win any game if you go in and you don't believe you're going to win. Now, look, I'm not sitting here saying our team didn't want to go out there and win or didn't play to win. I'm not saying that, okay? I'm talking about a true belief deep down inside, right? No matter what the score is, what the scoreboard says, or how much time's left in the game, right? You're playing to win the football game, right? From the start to the end. You're not waiting until maybe the second quarter to settle in, start play well, or, halftime, come back out and play better, or that's not the way it works, right? So, this team's gonna play hard. This team's gonna play physical football, okay? Right? That's not a compromise. But we've got to flip that switch and to consistently be able to go out and execute within the game. All right. Well, you got to create the confidence in practice during the week, right? Because whether I am making a one-on-one catch, whether I'm making a one-on-one tackle in open space, all right, blocking one-on-one in pass pro, running and have a man that I got to make miss, okay, all of those things, right, no different than y'all's jobs. You're confident in your ability. You're confident in what you do, right? That's how you're able to go out and do your job. You have confidence. You build confidence through experiences. You build confidence through repetition of doing the same thing, right? You run those cameras right there because you're confident to run those cameras because you've done it a bunch, right? We've got to create confidence in our guys that the expectation comes every week so that when we get in a one-on-one situation, we get in an open tackle area, we get in a make a guy miss, one-on-one play on the ball, that they're expecting to make that play. And, wanting to and expecting to are two totally different things. And so we got to continue to drive those principles home and not lose what we've done well. Look, we've got an identity to play hard, right, to compete for 4 quarters, to prepare the right way and practice the right way, right, to take coaching and try to do it the right way to the best of their ability, okay? Well, what are things we're struggling at? Well, we identify those things on Sunday and talk to the team, things we're struggling with. Right? Then what's our Achilles heel? What are the things, what are the 1 or 2 things you can't get out of your way of? Okay? We got to continue to do the things you're doing well. You got to continue to do them well. All right? You got to correct the things that, and improve on the things that, are kind of back and forth. All right? Now, the last one we got to eliminate. It's got to be gone. All right? It's got to be fixed. And, addressing it last week, working through it last week, not all of it showed up on the game on Saturday is being fixed. And as I said, right, a lot of conversations, a lot of things have taken place during this week to ensure that we correct some of the moments that have shown up the last 2 weeks. So with that, we're getting ready to go up to Virginia Tech, which is a hard place to play. They got a good fan base. It's going to be loud. And they got a really good football team who I believe these 2 teams are very evenly matched in a lot of ways.
I have 0 confidence in my job, by the way, just so you know.
Well, I've got it for you.
Thanks.
I exude the confidence to give you the confidence to do it. Just feed off of me.
I got you. Let's start with quarterbacks. What's the status with Haynes, and then how did you assess Zach's performance Saturday?
Okay. This has already been opened. All right, so Haynes is still day-to-day, okay? Mike told me before I came down here there's some report that someone had come out with on something or another that said that he's not playing. There's one person in the entire stratosphere universe, something that only Shane Kimbrough would know of, that makes that call, and that's myself. Right? And there's been 0 call made on that. 0. Okay? He's day-to-day. Are we preparing the other guys to play? Yes. All right? Are we ruled him out? No. You heard it from the horse's mouth right there. So thought Zach came to the game. Zach is full of grit, full of toughness. He wills people around him to play that way. Started off hot. Started off really hot. Thought Buster did a really good job in that game of putting the position to, getting a rhythm and complete passes early on and move us down the field. And he's going to do everything in his power to try to win football games. The things he can take from it and correct, yeah, a lot of things we can take and correct from it. But I was very proud of him for the way he went in and performed and the way he went in. And now that's not saying that 72 plays were perfect. I'm not saying that. right? And it's not saying a lot of things we got to do better, but for a guy making his first start in 2 years, really, thought he went in and went in and gave us what he had, and a few plays we'd like to have back with him, but learn from those mistakes and move on this week.
And that will do it for your Sports Tonight tonight. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a great night. We'll have all your news throughout the rest of the week.